Thank you, Battlefield gods, for giving us some more gameplay, this time of all these specialists that we know of so far. So we got Webster, we got Boris, we got Maria, and we got Casper, and they all got little gameplay snippets to show off their different abilities and traits. So that is what we're going to break down today. Now, without further ado, if you do enjoy today's video, don't forget as always to leave it a nice, thick, and just like, of course, if you enjoy this kind of content, you want more like it, be sure to hit that big red sexy subscribe button. Also gotta say, I've been streaming a ton. It's been an absolute blast hanging out with you guys. If you want to swing by and say hi, be sure to hit that notification bell. Last but not least, gotta thank my channel members. You guys help make these videos possible. If you want to join, get access to the exclusive perks that they get, and make sure you check out that blue join button. Anyway, let's begin. So first up is, of course, Webster. We see his breakdown. He's Canadian, he's got a grappling hook, and of course, nimble is his trait, which makes him the ultimate rushing specialist. Better ADS speed and shoot sooner after sprinting is essentially what that trait does, so that's why it makes him a better rusher. Now in the first clip, we see him wielding his PBX-45, which is a version of the PBX-9 AR platform SMG in real life that fires the same ammo as a Striker 45, which he has seemingly in each of the clips. We do get a good look at the grapple gun. Now, there isn't much to say, you can kind of see what it does there. But as you go into the awesome looking takedown animation, we can get an idea of the cooldown on it. It's been a concern for a lot of people that it may be too quick and that people are just gonna be Spider-Manning around the map and there's not gonna be much of a cooldown to it and it could get annoying. It does seem that there is a more than just like 2 or 3 second cooldown on it. It does seem like it's maybe 5 to 7 seconds. We'll have to obviously get our hands on it to see what the balance of it is, but it will be interesting to see how much we can actually move around with it. Of course, like I've said in other videos, movement around these much larger maps is kind of an important deal. Now, as for the takedown, it is very gorgeous in third person, and it's obviously reminiscent of the COD Warzone animations, but honestly, these seem much more grounded than some of the Warzone ones, which can be a bit over the top, and it does seem a little bit quicker. Personally, I do enjoy the first person takedown that we had in pretty much every Battlefield in the past decade or so, and I would like to see maybe an option to where you can do first person or third person takedowns, because personally I just want to do them quickly, and I think the first person aspect adds kind of a brutality to it that I think is unique to Battlefield. Now we also see that they haven't changed the kill feed for these clips either. It does seem that even though they said they were going to update these by the time the beta rolls around, they still haven't changed it for this specific footage. We don't know how old this footage is, so it's tough to say on that. They have said they're going to change it, just don't know when. Now in the next clip is where we get some really good looks at the gunplay once again, and I've maintained for a while now that the gunplay will be BF5-esque and that it's not going to focus on spread and managing spread, and it's instead going to focus on recoil control being of course at the forefront of it, and we see more of that here. We also see that you can ADS on the zipline, albeit with a slight ADS animation kind of jitter, I guess, to kind of balance it so that you can't just quickly ADS everyone from the zipline, but you can ADS and you can still shoot people. It doesn't seem like there's much of a penalty to it as well, so that is going to be a ton of fun. Now we can't 100% calculate the time to kill from this clip or really many of the other clips, as a lot of people seem to be at partial health when they are getting shot throughout this trailer, so it does seem that it's relatively quick from any of the clips, but it isn't like something we can exactly say on it until we get a good feel for it by the time the beta rolls around. Now on to Maria, who is our medic. It has been announced already that she has been nerfed, with her Surette pistol not being able to revive at range anymore. It can heal at range, of course, but it can no longer revive at range. That being said, we do learn quite a bit from these clips. First up, of course, the breakdown. She has a Surette pistol and then the combat medic perk, which means that she's going to be able to revive people at full health every single time. We also see her holding the very cool Chris Vector, which we actually don't get to see firing in the trailer, but it's known as the K30 in this game, and yeah, it looks really awesome. I'm excited to get my hands on that weapon. The Surette clip is up first, and it shows her shoot a teammate with health, not once, but twice, so I guess maybe there's the potential that one shot isn't going to fully heal someone. Maybe you have to fire 2 and it only heals in segments. Regardless, there are limited amounts of Surettes that you can fire. Now it does also seem that this specific person running Maria is running an ammo box as well, so you could of course conceivably have unlimited amounts of those, but it does seem like a bit of a balancing feature to it, so take that for where you will. It doesn't seem like attrition is back, as we see before Maria actually goes to heal herself, you start to see her health come back up, and it looks like it was going to go all the way back up, but of course it accelerates once she actually does heal herself. In the next clip, we see the classic defibrillators. She of course, like I said, the perk that she has, or I should say the trait that she has, means that she can revive anyone back to full health no matter what. Now, there isn't much else to say on that. I mean, she's a medic, so of course it makes sense, but I do wonder if she can automatically one-shot enemies with the defibs as well. Just saying, that'd be kind of a cool balancing aspect to that. After this clip, we get our next specialist, the Red Guardian, Boris. He has a sentry system and a sentry operator trait, as he is an engineer. Now, in Boris's first clip, we get to see a few things. Number one is his trait and gadget. He puts down a sentry next to some enemies, and thanks to his trait, those enemies become spotted. We also get some more gunplay, which again I think confirms my idea of a BF5 style gunplay system, as in both ADS and hip fire, Boris seems to be consistently landing shots and doesn't need to burst to manage any spread. He also seems to be wielding the V-CAR, a slow rate of fire AR. We see the hip fire aspect even more in the next clip, so again it seems safe to say on this aspect. Also in this clip, he is instead wielding the PBX 45 that we saw with Webster. Now, I do want to point out the sentry, as it does seem to display the player's own name above it. I guess this is so teammates know whose sentry it is, and maybe even enemies will be able to ID what player may be in the area and they may be up against when they are approaching a sentry. Also want to point out that even though the smoke in the clip is relatively brief, it does seem to maintain the spot of the enemy on the other side, which, like I said, spotting is part of Boris's perk. Now, we aren't sure, of course, if the spot would go away if it was a smoke grenade instead. Like I said, the smoke here is relatively brief, so it wouldn't make much sense to totally conceal the spot in that case. Doesn't make a huge difference, but say a smoke grenade was down, hopefully that would take away the spot and give you that concealment that smoke should give you. I know a lot of BF4 players know that you can see the Doritos through the smoke, but I want to say BF1 was the one that actually fixed that and you couldn't spot their smoke anymore. I do also want to say about the sentry, I'm not typically a big fan of weapons that you can just place down and they collect kills for you. DICE has been good in the past with this sort of a thing. Looking at Battlefront 2, the sentries in that game weren't really getting a bunch of kills for you. It was more of a defensive accessory. It was something that would help spot and damage enemies to an extent, but you would really be the one that finishes them off most of the time. It's not going to do all the work for you, and that does seem to be the case here. It doesn't seem like it's one of those Call of Duty sentries where it's collecting kills for you. It's an accessory, something to aid in defense of an area, but not so much going to be doing the defending itself. Lastly is our ghost that isn't so friendly anymore, and that's Casper. We see his breakdown, his drone gadget, and sensor trait, of course, are standing out. First, we see the drone go into action. It does say that it can spot enemies, which of course makes sense for a drone, but it also does have a tab for EMP locking, so knocking out sentries and potentially vehicles may be able to be done from range. This could make infiltration pretty darn fun if you get Casper in a silenced SMG or AR and you go in and you just nab objectives in the total quietness and silence of the night, as none of the defending specialists will be able to actually get you. Lastly, we get a look at how the motion sensor works. In this clip, Casper takes out a soldier on the bridge using his SWS-10 bolt action rifle. I do want to point out that the depth of field on the outside of the scope looks very nice, but it does seem to zoom in the rest of the world on the outside with the scope. This isn't a huge deal. I just wanted to point it out because some people, they think, oh, that shouldn't happen. When you look in the scope, only the scope should zoom and the rest of the world should look the same. That is more realistic, of course, but I mean, I can suspend my disbelief a little bit. Again, not a huge deal. Then at the bottom, a very, very vague sensor seems to pulse an indication of movement from behind. I actually had to watch this back in the 4K clip that one of the community managers posted for us to download. I had to watch it back several times to even see the pulse at the bottom here. I don't know if it was my color blindness or if it really just is that vague. It was very hard to see that little pulsing at the bottom to let you be notified that someone is coming from behind. And if I'm struggling with that, breaking down slow motion 4K video, I can imagine it's going to be relatively hard to see when you're in a live match on the battlefield. So maybe that'll get a buff. Maybe we can customize the color of it, make it something a little bit more vibrant so you do notice it, maybe a yellow or a white, so that it just grabs your eye very quickly. But regardless, the rest of the clip, we do see him make the turnaround and pop the guy coming up from behind him in one shot, and it's very, very cool. Anyway, that was it for the trailer, and we do get a good look at our squad here at the end. Let me know what you think of the gameplay and if I did miss anything. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.